number one. Longzhu starting things off over on that blue side.
Love the first ban coming through.
Just going to go ahead and get rid of that LeBlanc.
Finding lane priority for Faker has been something the SKT have struggled with. LeBlanc is one of those champions who's been big in North America, especially as a blind pick. Hasn't been as common in Korea, but we know about Faker's mastery of the pick, so I think it's a smart ban. And now my question is it just going to be the auto Kalista, Zac, Caitlyn bans on red side? So far, so good. But the Kalista pick is kind of up and down because Longzhu, they've traditionally been an Ashe team, surprisingly banning Ashe on blue side.
Take that one off the board, so maybe looking for that Kalista for themselves. We'll actually ban the Elise on blue as well, with Zac taken off the board. So
that was,
yeah, trying to drive us in a different direction, it seems.
That was my expected first pick for Longzhu. So okay, the Elise is banned away. Was expecting that to just be claimed given how good it's been for Cuz. Gragas priority starts to shoot up, but something like Sejuani and other newer picks could be there as well. And okay, this is what I was thinking. Because they haven't really shown Kalista mastery this season, they're going to play with fire and leave Kalista open. Prey is a legacy Kalista player, and guess what? You can pair Alistar with the Kalista very safely. Braum works as well. You cannot deny the available support pool. This empowers Gorilla. That's the reason Kalista is so strong. Early power spike, and your initiator gets stronger. Giving Gorilla more power is a scary thought.
Yeah, I mean, but then we have to be worried about, how good is Gorilla at Alistar? I don't know if he's been practicing that one much, Papa Smith.
He's been playing it on the on competitive.
Wow.
So they'll let you know.
Well, here we go. This isn't too shocking. Just going to snatch up that Rumble. I mean, albeit could actually be a flex. We saw Peanut play this into the jungle, but likely for Antara up top.
And one of my big criticisms for SKT, the thing I think they struggle with the most is the bot lane meta. They've been playing a lot of Varus Lulu. They've been prioritizing Lulu and Zyra when those champions are really out of the meta. And okay, against Jin Air they get 2v2 killed. That happens sometimes, not often for Bang and Wolf, but it can happen. But when you have a Lulu, you can't even exit lane as a pick support like Thresh, for example, and make plays around the map. So you have to win the laning phase if you're going to be taking the Lulu, and they haven't been able to do that with any consistency. Gragas is the expected big jungler if Sejuani is not going to be considered, and Taliyah has been as high as first pick for a lot of mid laners. Pawn and Crown, both first picking it. Faker himself first picking it earlier. Galio's available, they'll still take it. SKT seem to be going very standard team fighting, but not with a hyper carry. When we've seen comps like this recently, it's been with a hyper carry. And in this case, it's just the Varus. So they seem to be shoring up their laning phases. There's a lot of safety here, but where the draft will go from here remains to be seen.
You could also see the Gragas perhaps moved up towards that top lane. Go into the Rumble.
Outside chance. I mean, Khan doesn't have his Jace, but very often will pick for lane pressure. I feel like Khan having lane pressure is one of the big ways that Longzhu win a game. BDD can look for pushing lane, but Khan having a counter pick is so big for them. SKT have already flexed Peanut onto the Rumble before, so they are not married to the idea of running Rumble top in this game. It's been a good pick for Antara. You can see a lot of carry top laners have been banned.
Yep. Jackson, Camille both taken off the board here for Khan, so seems like SKT are pretty confident that Cuz will be the one running that Gragas into the jungle. Now, final ban here for the side of Longzhu. We can get those next final picks underway, and it's going to be the Rex side, so jungle pool is pinched out considerably here for Peanut as he gets ready to select.
You want to keep the flex possibility open here, so usually SKT counterpick for support with the last pick. That was their old meta approach. I actually would have preferred taking the support here and counterpicking later for support, but they really seem to be focusing on getting a winning bot lane. Will that mean something like Lulu or Zyra, or will it mean something more risky? We'll wait and see. Sejuani, top lane was a thing of the first week of the season. It's been a jungle pick staple recently, so expected to be Sejuani jungle. Achilles, the first time we saw Peanut, we said in an aggressive meta, this guy will be incredible, but it was a tank meta back then, and it's a tank meta in the jungle again, and Peanut does not fit the archetype of a great Sejuani player. Now, can he go out and have a great performance? Yes, but this is clearly the meta working against Peanut.
That's where you're wrong. It's going to be Wolf support Sejuani.
It could happen. I talked about that once, but I try not to say that too many times. It makes me look dumb.
All right, well, speaking of support, so Thresh is going to be locked in here for Gorilla, so just going to have that nice lore-based bot lane for themselves with the Kalista alongside, so just all of the slipperiness that you could ever want to get away from ganks and whatnot in that bottom lane, and then J4 going to be locked in here for Khan.
Now we are waiting for that support. Right now, hovering over the lane counter pick, just looking for the Zyra to poke down Thresh. Very much old meta comp from SKT. Similar identity to comps they were running against Jin Air. It's a more of a team fighting comp than the 4-1 or 1-3-1 comps they were struggling with against Samsung and Afrika. Didn't work against Jin Air. Now they have a lot of laning power. Sort of game where Sejuani should get a pretty free jungling phase because of how much power is in the lane. But this is not necessarily where the meta has been tending to post-Rift Rivals. A lot more updated meta, it feels like, on the side of Longzhu, specifically the Jarvan priority being higher. That can be an answer to these immobile carries. Really interesting game to come through. SKT not mixing up too much, largely going with what they feel like worked against Jin Air.
Alrighty, well, SKT, they've been backed into a corner. Down 0-6 in LCK, 0-7 with Rift Rivals tagged in there as far as their games are concerned. But now, one of the toughest opponents that they've had to face so far here in the summer split was Longzhu. Now they have to try to beat them again.
And as the game goes on, will it be hard for Prey to do damage? Yes, Galio and Sejuani can sit on the Kalista. But the early game snowball, if Longzhu gets 3 kills, the pain will rain down on SK Telecom T1.
All right, well, we'll have to keep our eye on this bottom lane, especially here with Gorilla going back over to that Thresh, see if they can get that lane priority and just take the game over from there. It's good to be back, Papa Smithy. I'm ready for some LCK action. This is one of the best matches we can have to kick things back off here. So let's go ahead and waste no more time and jump onto the Rift for game number 1. I would expect all of these players have been anticipating this one for quite some time. I missed that sound.
Well,
I missed this desk.
I gotta admit, it's getting a little bit quieter each time, Achilles.
I missed your face.
That's for you to work out. But the T1 fans aren't in quite as unison as they were previously. The Longzhu fans happy. It's not a Prey fan, as far as I can tell.
I'm not sure what that was.
Well, there's plenty of fans out here on a very hot Thursday afternoon for what hopefully will be a great series. Again, Longzhu SKT in the first round robin was one of our big highlights. We didn't get a Telecom more, but we got SKT Longzhu. The second round robin, we get both, so we're getting greedy now. Kilios?
Feels good. Mountain Drink going to be the first one that we have. Starting off on the Rift, so maybe going to have some extra priority down around that bottom side of the map. Try to pick that up.
A lot of safety in the lanes for SKT. Longzhu have good pushing lanes, strong engage, but they will have very big struggles in the late game trying to push damage through Sejuani Galio. Even early with a Cinder Hulk and the damage reduction from the Galio ultimate, it's very difficult for Talia and Kalista to put damage through them unless it's early enough in the game. 1 item, sure, but 2, 3 items, then the insane tankiness will be a bit of a headache for Longzhu to deal with. But Longzhu have been very good in the early game, largely through things like Jace. So the Jarvan is a bit of a different experiment for Khan.
Saw him poke down around those Raptors. Didn't get to harass out. Peanut was able to just go ahead and start up over by that red buff. Now just going to be pushing straight down into that bottom half of the jungle.
Nice. Cuz is going to be really empowered. As Sejuani, you always start a big buff because of how your passive interacts with the permafrost. You start a auto attack and you get the percentage HP damage on a red buff and you are able to take it down. So it's always a big buff start for Sejuani. It was in a ward as well, so Kuz is really empowered this game. He basically has almost complete information about where the Sejuani will pop.
Whether or not it can translate that into some nice early kills here for his team, it's going to be yet to be decided. That is going to be the idea here for him as he gets rolling. We'll see where his first visitation is going to be a bit hard to get a gank off onto somebody like Faker, just given the tankiness.
Expecting the Sejuani to go for Scuttle Crab after the Wolves, but he skipped Gromp. May actually be going over to his Wolves. He's not below half health.
Finally finish this one off. He'll be walking forward, Cuz going to spot this out, rotates
able to walk away.
Yeah, and he's just going to stay out of vision.
Remember, he has his full damage rotation up now. Here we go.
Yep. As the Drunken Rage goes forward, gets the flash immediately there for Peanut.
As some of Longzhu's level 1 plans have been genius, this game especially, read SK Telecom like a book. Warding the big buff, know that he'll start on a big buff, basically reading the jungle pathing. Bot lane, Wolf taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's going to flash to the side. Throwing out that Ignite slow up comes through here from Prey as he throws out the Ren, looking for a little bit more damage in onto Wolf. Takes him very low. Now Peanut will be arriving here in the bottom lane, but just going to go ahead and use that Assault to just dash himself back over the wall. Doesn't find an opening.
This is the part where Longzhu will have pressure in at minimum 2 lanes, and given Rumble's longer cooldowns, Jarvan actually does a pretty good job of pushing in the Rumble early. So it is kind of the sort of paddock where Cuz, with his basically full read on the enemy jungler, can make of the game as he will. Peanut does go for that Scuttle Crab finally, doing some Metal Gear style plays around the Callista Sentinel. It's pretty hard for Sejuani to dodge the cone there.
Yeah. Though, I mean, you think back to Bengi's dodging with his Nunu.
Oh, good times.
Wrapping around
multiple
Worlds. Sentries.
Hyatt Worlds on his Zed as well.
There's been some good plays around this Sentry from Callista in the past. But Peanut, yet again, going to be rejoining down to the bottom side. Looks like he's just going to go ahead and recall.
I mean, Peanut cannot be greedy. He really has a lot of headaches to deal with the Sejuani drafter, even though his lanes are strong. Early game, they'll be pushed in. Rumble, for this moment at least, able to push in. His flash is down, so he wants to queue into a camp for DPS, and then could just instantly die to a Gragas, who has spent most of the game getting now perfect vision on the blue side of SKT.
BDD. Gonna look to start things up here.
An early roam. Khan has his E in 3 seconds.
Doesn't have the Dragon Strike here. Waiting for this one to come through. Can they get the knock up? TP will be coming through from Faker in the base. Is he gonna complete that? No, last second. We'll go ahead and cancel that one out. So they get the TP. They don't get a flash away from Intara, but still have to be pretty satisfied with that roam.
And because of the TP timing, actually BD is able to go back and buy and get to lane before it's going to be heavily shoved in. So he does still get a free back, and Teleport is just burned to relieve pressure in the top lane. So pretty decent trade. Longzhu trading up, but in kind of micro victories, right? They're not anything to write home about. There still is that inevitability, that was hard to say for some reason, of how strong Sejuani and Galio will be the later parts of the game. But Cuz is bot now, and we really want to take down
the flash play straight into the Death Sentence. Cuz arriving, and the Ren comes through, but Gragas will still be finding that final blow. First blood goes over to Longzhu.
Yeah, great stuff from Cuz. First the read on the enemy jungler, now visiting the lane where you had a Zyra with no summoners. SKT have been dogged in drafting Zyra and Lulu, looking for lane counter picks. Last pick Nami was their thing in the past. It's been all about the Zyra and Lulu, and they've been losing more often than not as Cuz and Faker have a quick love tap in the side.
They just do no damage to each other.
Who does damage to Galio, really?
I don't know. And right now, Galio can't do damage to anybody, so.
Even the minions. Feels bad, man.
It takes him a little bit to get through there. The budget rod of ages just, you know, doesn't feel as good anymore.
I only do see the second Dorans just because of the AP values to clear, but even that is up in the air. Galio's just gets super tanky. Kuro was the prophet, used to know no Doran's Ring build, even when Doran's Ring was broken, or maybe he was just slow on the meta, hard to read, but that build is certainly the staple now.
Yeah, I can't really tell with Kuro, because, I mean, on one hand, it's like, well, maybe he is just slow on it, but at the same time, he's our highest MVP at the moment.
Interesting choice by Khan. He actually rushes the Spectre's Cow. Usually we see Tiamat, we see Phage. Yeah. It's not always a Rumble matchup, but usually see offensive itemization to match wave clear, so that you have both the Q and the Tiamat proc also to push. This sort of suggests to me that he kind of admits that he's going to be taking a lot of damage. Usually when you see Spectre's Cow, you're not really chomping at the bit if you're Cuz to be ganking for that lane. It's more a survival choice in an extended laning phase. So we'll see if that translates to largely bot side play, which admittedly has been Cuz's playbook so far.
Well, you mentioned that already, you know, working his way around here. Peanut very low. We'll have to go back to base, and it's going to take him a while to get down to this bottom lane should a fight break out. Cuz just getting rid of the Grump for now, and maybe just, yeah, we'll snatch up that blue buff. Nice timing.
And the wave pushed in at the same time. So far, the coordination with their jungler that at the start of the season wasn't always great, you'll remember, has been super good so far in this particular game and has gotten significantly better over the season. Cuz hit 6 off the blue buff, so could potentially make a visit bot lane, but no Fate's Call available just yet. In fact, there could be 4 here very quickly.
Well, you spotted out. We'll go ahead and clear out that ward.
Do have to respect Galio's Hero's Entrance, so Teleport and Hero's Entrance up from Faker. Nothing wrong with pushing up, posturing, and putting the fear into the minds of SKT.
I mean, fear, you know, not something that they're really used to playing with, but as of late, it seems like that is much more the case.
What is this new emotion I'm feeling? It feels like losing.
I was not previously programmed to experience this.
Yeah, the Faker robot, which of course back in the day people like to liken him to a robot, is I don't know how if he even has that emotion in his database.
They've updated his firmware, and
I think there's some bugs there, Achilles. Roll it back!
he needs to download more RAM. All right, well, BDD is going to get that nice little Galio rotation coming through. Does chunk him out a decent little bit here. But nothing more than that. Peanut a bit too far behind to try to offer up that Glacial Prison to find a kill.
But the early game playbook from Longzhu hasn't grown anything. First Blood, yes. A bit of a gold lead, yes. But the moment you start seeing Cinder Hulk, tank itemization on Faker and Peanut, is it impossible for Longzhu to win? Certainly not. But if they're pacing tankiness with damage from the sides of Kalista and Taliyah, the tankiness comes cheaper in most cases and is pretty damn effective. Something like the Adaptive Helm, you could say, from Faker is very likely, given how Taliyah's threaded volley works. There's some very good answering itemization for the Taliyah especially, and Sejuani is one of the best at sitting on Kalista and stopping her doing damage. So even though it's a good start for Longzhu, sort of game where you're never really sure how big your lead needs to be, and that sometimes spurs over-aggression.
Well, nothing too crazy here for Longzhu at the moment. He's going to be handing off this blue buff for BDD so he can just poke more, he can clear better. But the game has slowed down, and like you said, Longzhu haven't really been advancing much. Gold lead actually getting drawn back in, reined back in rather, by SK Telecom.
I mean, it's been smart play. It's been tight play. It's been well communicated. But like I say, is it enough? It's going to
it needs to accelerate.
It's going to be the check-in. So far, the return to laning focus in the bot lane hasn't really been their friend. The reason why I talk about that is that Zyra Varus, super common lane in spring season, but the engaged supports were well out of meta, and it wasn't as relevant that, let's say you get double killed in lane, you just return to lane. You just return to lane, you'd be behind an item, but maybe you get a gank and it'll work out. In this meta, your Thresh or your Braum, you're able to roam and make plays around the map. Moby Boots 900 gold, you can make things happen. It's a very different meta. And with Engage coming from the jungle and support, and even the AD carry with the Fate's Call, there's so many different ways to kill a Zyra and Doran's Shield that these are sort of things that can happen.
It's going to be the Weaver's Wall coming through. Wolf immediately going to flash over. We'll get that TP from Faker.
That wasn't a good teleport from Faker.
Actually very poor, you'd have to say. Everybody was already disengaged, and he's like, I'm going to go in 1v4, guys.
Yeah, that was just poor communication, I would say, is the problem there. Usually it's a team move. For Faker especially, who's always been judicious on summoners.
He really does need that update.
Sometimes you update your firmware, there's bugs. I've downloaded many iOS updates, often bugs.
Now he's laggy. But Peanut popping over the wall with the Blast Cone. Just going to find that Control Ward. A little bit of damage down onto Gorilla, but won't be finding that gank entrance that he was looking for instead. Likely just going to have to use that Arctic Assault to get over the wall. Well, some cast will come through. Hero's entrance from Fakers. The lockup does come down from that Glacial Prison, but now that's going to be the Lantern dragging him out. Hook not going to connect in onto Bang. TP being completed for Khan. Will arrive, throws down the Cataclysm, and Wolf will get locked into the pit, and he's going to die. Prey picks up his first kill. 2-0 here for Longzhu, so very extended bot lane visitation here from both sides, but Longzhu are the ones that put a kill on the board.
And there were teleport wards for Antara, but clearly didn't get a call to teleport because never used it during the entire time. Pushing aggressively in topside, still not teleporting.
Still looking for a little bit more. Death Sentence comes through, Flay in onto Faker, but the taunt comes down from the Galio. Prey jumping his way back with
the teleport comes in.
Keeps himself safe, but yeah, Antara is dropping in from behind. Fate's Call coming through. Prey throws Gorilla forward, but might just be throwing him into his death. Antara. Actually, they're going to try to turn this one around because Cuz is re-engaging Khan going forward. Let's get the pop-up, and they're able to get the kill as Gorilla snatches that up. SKT, a 1-for-2 in the end. They still will come out a bit further behind.
Yeah, he still does trade up, like you say, Achilles. The teleport, while it was late, sure, it was a nice equalizer, but no one was really on the same page from the side of SKT. 2 teleports in a row now. You kind of ask your question marks, even though it ended up with a late 1-for-1 after the initial kill went the way of Longzhu, and they're going to keep invading. Peanut's low.
Well, that's going to be the Blast Cone. Seems like BDD didn't quite get the angle that he wanted. Doesn't go over the wall here with Cuz. Maybe that was the plan. Not exactly sure, but the blue buff will just be going over to SKT as they head home. So Longzhu just going to go ahead back off of that. Don't want to get overly aggressive. Bot lane giving up that kill, you know, something that they would have rather avoided.
And Khan's build goes very against his identity. Remember, this is a Jace player. This guy will play true carries in the top lane. This is the first time I've ever seen him rush pure tankiness when damage was an option. Going for Adaptive Helm basically tells me he wants to use his initiation and thinks that the team has enough damage that he can sit on top of basically as much AoE as possible and just shut down, specifically Bang. This is a item build where he wants to ignore the magic damage around the Varus and just increase CC duration because he just won't die very fast.
Bit of an extended visit here to this bot lane. Brush from Cuz doesn't find an opening. Bang avoiding that wall so the death sentence can't come through. He'll just be retreating back to pick up this red buff. Is spotted out by that control ward in the brush. We'll see if he checks it on the way out of here. Likely going to be standing for a bit longer, as is this Mountain Drake right now. 14 minutes in, no one has really even glanced at it.
It is caught mid lane.
Get locked up a bit. Peanut coming forward, but doesn't want to commit in with the ultimate. They'd have to go in underneath the turret. They knew that Cuz was in the vicinity, as he does say hello with that little body slam.
Crucially, BDD didn't use either cleanse or flash as well. Some steadfast use of summoners from a lot of our top mid laners recently.
Top mid laners is a confusing way to say that.
Agreed, but I'm talking about BDD, Crown, Horn, these sort of guys. Faker, I guess, is in there as well.
I was going to say, like, top mid laners like Jace, you can play him in both. Galio, J4 once upon a time.
Good old Jarvan. Mid lane Jarvan was a thing for a hot second. Sarsen, a big fan. There's a name we don't talk about anymore. He retired. For his last attempt to qualify for LCK.
It was the best for everyone.
He played a lot of different champions.
23?
Something like that.
Something like the final count.
That was a weird spring season. 2016.
And then they dominated the challenger scene and then lost.
A lot of vision control from SKT around the bottom side of the map now. Previously was Longzhu's playground. Very deep control ward just to spot the pathing from Gragas. Not the sort of vision you can really play around, though, you should notice, whereas you can tell from Longzhu's vision exactly what they want to be doing. It's kill this man.
Cuz already using that roll the barrel. Will just get jumped on. Utara trying to turn this one around, and he's just going to find it. That last auto attack, while overheated, just beats Cuz into the ground.
Yeah, it seems like Cuz was also disconnected from his team. There was no space for BDD to roam top. Had no way to get out. Heroic Entrance came in as well. Jarvan not in position, BDD not in position, solo death from Cuz, you'd say.
Getting Corruption thrown down here, Gorilla gonna get popped up. The Strangle Thorns, now you can see the death sentence ready to come through as the Fate's Call will come out. Gorilla arriving into the fight with the flash forward. Faker finds a double taunt, and they're gonna go down. Double kill, going over to the Galio, can't quite chase in underneath the turret to finish off BDD, at least not at the moment. So he will retain his life, but SKT now taking a kill lead in this game.
And these kills are so crucial. While Cuz makes a mistake, he had been the star of the first 15 minutes for the side of Longzhu. SKT outplay Longzhu around the bot side, specifically their tanks getting gold. Faker loading up the kills. Now between the two of them, the tankiness we talked about that will really be where this game turns in team fights will start to be accumulated by Peanut and Faker.
Cuz going over the wall, it's enough for SKT to go ahead and peel back away from that Dragons, who still will be standing for the moment. As the TP comes down here from Khan, needs to arrive swiftly to stop this turret from going over, because first brick has eluded us thus far.
Something that Longzhu would have expected given how the early game went, but SKT have stood firm. They have not been making sort of decision-making errors they had in their 3-loss series in a row in the LCK. A lot more steadfast, and their draft answers Longzhu super well in fights. So while we were appreciative of how well Longzhu played around their jungler specifically in the early game, headaches start to come through from Longzhu. Peanut.
Yeah, he is in vision, body slam coming through. Faker now arriving, but Peanut just takes so much damage, and he will get finished off as Cuz finds that kill. So tying things up here, 4-4. Still a bit of a gold lead here for Longzhu, but it's the same gold lead that has been there for a very long time. They have not been able to grow it.
And it's also the side of the map where they invested all their control wards and vision, and it's really only a 1-for-1 over time, given that was near where Cuz died, taking the Krogs just a few minutes ago. So they've invested all their vision budget into taking this top lane turret, into making kills on the enemy jungler. Actually picking up the turret is the big objective, but they're calling in BDD. That should happen now. Is okay, super deep teleport from Antara.
Yeah, full wrap around here. Faker with a hero's entrance.
Bot lane party.
The bottom lane, but yeah, yet again, the elusiveness of that Kalista Thresh duo does get Prey and Gorilla out safely. They will be able to exchange this turret, but will not be getting that bonus gold, so Longzhu are moving forward a bit quicker.
That means they will also have the tempo advantage onto Rift Herald, which it looks like they're going to be moving over to. So Leah has to answer the mid lane wave, so they actually have to abort it after starting the pigs onto it. But it seems like Cuz will just take forever to take it himself.
For a second, I thought they were actually going to try to contest that turret, but with Utara still sitting nearby would have been a very risky move. Cuz peeling off that Rift Herald as they both jump in onto Faker. He's going to get that double taunt coming through.
He's a real tank.
Forward. Cuz taking a bit of damage. Seems like both of them are going to go their separate ways.
I love that SKT read the situation, knew that Rift Herald was going to be the obvious spot for Longzhu to go. Sends Faker alone to contest it. Enough to stop it, so that's a free Drake over to SKT. A Rift Herald answer.
All right, BDD just playing defensively here for his squad, just throwing down that Weaver's wall to make sure they can't chase forward.
But let's talk about what SKT was able to achieve, because just from Faker walking up, even though he had Hero's Entrance to use as a global if something else happened elsewhere, no longer could Longzhu play around their strong side, which had been the top side of the map where a lot of their control wards were and where their advanced vision were. They couldn't take the Rift Herald, and they were forced to rotate through where SKT had put all their vision, their own red side jungle, and that's why BDD was so defensive, had to throw down the wall, and so basically SKT changed the path of battle, the field of battle, to where they were strongest. This is not the SKT we saw for 6 games in a row, so it's nice to see already they're playing around their strengths rather than minimizing their weaknesses, which unfortunately has kind of been the recent story.
Yeah, this has been going back to the SKT that we saw versus Longzhu the first time around.
I mean, SKT are the ultimate team where you get no free lunches. This is the team that always, even if they lost the early game, wards would be on point. Their sideways would be on point. Faker, there's not much excitement here. It's still Galio.
Yep. He's just going to justice punch his way out of there.
And that was kind of the thing, was that SKT were doing some interesting new things, but their standbys were the things that were letting them down. Their ability to set up so cleanly and so smartly was letting them down. This game, it's tightened up pretty significantly.
Longzhu still looking to go ahead and advance as much as they can. Go ahead, start this engagement down onto Faker. Play comes back through. He's just more interested in clearing out the wave, but now BDD's wrapping up from the side, as is Cuz. Faker going to be completely surrounded as the turret goes down. They pick up the kills, going to be the question. Play yet again coming through. The box gets dropped. Cuz goes in.
Nice sidestep.
But yeah, Faker not going to get caught up in that one, and he's got the hero's entrance to take himself out to safety. The flag and drag not quite going to find the knock-up. That's the Cataclysm coming through, and Khan will go down. They do trade in onto Faker. Wolf also falling as Longzhu tries to keep trading up, but it's a double kill over to Bang, equalizing the count, making it a 2 for 2.
A 2 for 2 in a 5v4. Super good plays from Faker to dodge all of the initiation and pick CC. And by the time Khan went in, he acted as if he had a Black Cleaver Tiamat. He's gone a tank build. He's only an initiator. So a decision-making mistake by Khan at the end. The start of it is fine. The moment that Faker had to use his first taunt to stop himself being dived, it was going to be a free turret. They already got the free turret, but then they get greedy. Khan feels like he can kill Faker, but he still has immense tankiness, and Khan doesn't have the damage. Following up and doing damage to a backline is not what Longzhu's comp does well. They don't have Hurricane. They have a Talia and a Callista hitting the closest target. Big mistake there, although it's Bang.
Yeah, Bang pushing up here in the mid lane, gets chunked out, has to use the flash. So a lot of summoner spells used here from SK Telecom. Those last skirmishes, just a flash out from Khan. All that we really saw from the side of Longzhu. But SKT were able to pick up that top lane turret, and yet again, they're just keeping this around 1,000 gold down. So they are very much in this match.
And it's a different role for Khan, who 7-0 Jace, 4-1 Renekton. Both those champions don't really shoulder primary initiation. They're about pressure, but they're not necessarily about starting fights. He goes for an item build that is focused on initiation, and then he actually makes a mistake that baits his team into going too aggressively into an inner tower and a very tanky SKT lineup. So with the J-Span, which was the big adjustment in the first round, Khan has to do something different, and that was one small area where Khan is disconnected from his very high ceilings we've seen elsewhere this season.
Longzhu now looking to knock down this final outer turret. It's already about 50%, but the wave clear from SKT is pretty significant. What with that Varus coming through, Faker for a taunt, doesn't find anything. They will hold on to that turret for a bit longer so far.
Good CS leads for the side of Longzhu, who have been able to, as they've been rotating around trying to help Peanut in the early game, and just at the 2v2 laning phase, been able to do very well. But doesn't mean 2 items on Callista, with the QSS has delayed her power spike, which for now makes her less formidable in the 5v5, and those tank itemizations, they're coming, Achilles.
Khan poking his head in from behind. Prey gonna get jumped on. Is able to take that dark passage out the same way. Now Khan's gonna be completely locked out. Wolf will be the first one that goes down. Just a bit too far forward there with that Zyra. Takes that one with his life, but can Longzhu get more? Can they even get the turn? It's gonna be the question. A big equalizer coming through from Antara, and they're gonna scoop up a kill in onto that Kalista. A double taunt yet again comes down from Faker. They get Gorilla Khan. One hit away from dead. Can they follow up for it? Seems like he might just get himself out of here safely. As BDD and Cuz try to retreat, they have the wave clear to maintain a hold over this turret for the moment, but SKT yet again trading up. Cuz going forward, looking for something as the barrel roll nearly kills Faker.
There's a teleport coming through from Khan.
Doesn't have much mana, but the Khan TP is coming through from the backside. Tries to get the prediction, but doesn't do it, but Faker is still going to be dead. A nice little fancy play there. The size up on the Justice Punch. Peanut will have that flash available, but BDD, he is out for blood, as is Khan. They come over the wall. Can they get the hit? One more will do it, and BDD is able to get it through with the threaded volley.
While it was a really nice sidestep from Faker, it was still the right flag and drag because there was no exit path if he was establishing that way.
No matter what.
Exactly. It's the right decision. He's forcing them to juke into the Talia and is inevitable there. They get 2 kills on the outside. Nice teleport coming through from Khan. These fights are getting insane, but credit SKT. Their focus onto Prey when his QSS was down was what allowed them to turn the fight. It is so much on BDD and Prey to do damage with the low damage build coming through from Khan. They took him down. It went even. Longzhu still are in the driver's seat, but SKT are at least fighting. It looks more like the old SKT that we know and love.
Wolf just starting things off, getting absolutely annihilated in the front line, but then Faker, I mean, the big taunts ready to come through.
Yeah, the permafrost coming through into the nice equalizer from Antara. And then there's the lack of damage. That's the problem here. BDD has a decent mana bar, so he can do some damage, but not enough to actually turn things. Khan's teleport back in was the big factor. This is the picture-in-picture. The Infernal Drake does go to SK Telecom.
Yeah, are able to pick that one up, and it seems like we have another fight breaking out, and it's the picture is a bit too small for me to try to cast off this one, but
no, give it to us!
There we go, we flip back over, and BDD is going to be the first one that goes down in the fight. Hero's entrance now from Faker, gets the pop-up in onto Gorilla.
Prey's free hitting.
Desperately tries to turn this one around. Prey is free hitting, looking for a kill onto Antara.
It's a big win.
Faker first, and now Antara will fall, double kill. Going over to Khan, so they lose out on that Infernal Drake. We're going to have another replay. Probably miss another fight, but Longzhu, they kill 4, and now they're looking for Baron.
Unfortunately, we were on about 3 inches of monitor here, Achilles, with our small monitors and the picture-in-picture. But the fight around the Infernal Drake seemed to be forced, and in the end goes massively the way of Longzhu. SKT will have to judge their decision-making from the replay. Peanut is around, same level as Cuz, and see if they can interrupt him, because they do have the rent to secure this. This should be Baron to Longzhu.
How much do you want to go for this one? Seems like it's a bit of a do or die moment. Has that blast cone ready to go if he wants to try to pop in to the pit. The death sentence comes through, and he is just going to surrender this one. Takes it out for a ride. The Rend is there to claim the Baron. So Longzhu finally able to grow that gold lead that had stagnated for 20 minutes.
All right, now let's find out how. So the big question, we saw Cuz come in, he didn't get it, and I was like, okay, this is going to back away. I was still focused on the replay. They go super hard opening onto Faker. Peanut initiates onto BDD, who is taken out, but the explosive Cusk is massive in the backline, and Prey, with his QSS down, this time has no more threats to respect. Galio walking away, Antara walking away. This is what Kalista can do in an early fight. If she gets free targeting, she is able to clean up teamfight. She is truly the snowball early game teamfight AD carry, and Prey did his job.
And again, this is one of those things that SKT didn't really respect or maybe expect from Longzhu to first pick this Kalista legacy pick, as you say, but they go right back over to it, and Prey, he is having one hell of a game, 4-3-5 at the moment.
I actually disagree with that analysis. They had to know it was likely, but they thought they had the answer. They thought Sejuani Galio would be enough tankiness and just say, okay guys, it's a Kalista, wait and we'll be fine. Eventually we'll be fine. The fight around the Infernal Drake doesn't go the way they expect, and by the time it does, Kalista is able to actually win a fight when she was strongest.
All-out siege mode here now for Longzhu, trying to knock down these inner turrets. Won't be able to do so. Still the wave clear, even with those Baron-empowered minions, is very strong from SK Telecom. It's just going to be a bit of back and forth between this mid and bottom lane, but it seems like Longzhu will have the break this time.
Yeah, the problem in the previous fight was everything being used onto BDD. Sure, there's 2 squishy, consistent DPS dealers, but this is the time in the game where Kalista has to be priority #1 above all else, and the moment Kalista didn't have constant CC and constant threat on her, she was able to win. So it was just a decision-making mistake, They feel like they can contain the Kalista, but they gave the Kalista a bit of a bounty of gold, and that may be difficult, at least for the next 5 minutes, until another tank item comes on to both the front lines.
Well, certainly suffering for leaving that up now. Ray is going to be looking for more and more kills, has had a nice CS lead throughout that laning phase over top of Bang, as the kills to back it up as well, so plenty of gold going over to him. Quite a many few kills in this game so far, just about to be 29 minutes through.
Bang does shoulder a lot of the damage on the side of SKT. We've been so focused on the Kalista and the Taliyah, we have to remember that the damage largely gated around Bang, being able to put out massive damage in fights. He is 50 CS behind, even with Zyra as the support counterpick. So losing lane this significantly for Bang and Wolf has certainly not been a staple of most of their ascent over the past couple of years. And Varus always does have damage queries. There is still a Jarvan that can make his positioning almost impossible in a team fight. So battle of the AD carries the next fight. It feels like whichever team has the AD carry lead should inevitably win the fight.
Well, now push forward here. Faker going a bit too far up. We'll have that double taunt yet again, trying to keep himself safe. Justice punches out away from that death set. So will not get locked down, but Longzhu seems like they want to go all in to knock down this final inner turret.
Looking up.
Pushing forward. Baron buff getting ready to expire. Death Sense comes through in onto Peanut, but he's very tanky there with that Sejuani. Keeps himself safe.
Weaver's Wall already used, try to keep them cordoned off. They will take free damage, but no more for now.
I mean, BDD just has him backed into a corner, and he's just pelting them with rocks. So several of them do get chipped down to around half HP. Have to go back to the fountain, and that will be Longzhu claiming that final inner turret. Just the inhibitor ones remaining here for this squad. But in the meantime, seems like they're going to go ahead and go back, spend this gold that they got, and then get prepped for that Infernal Drake that's going to be spawning in a minute.
Isn't it amusing that a year later, because Taliyah, of course, was massive this time last year, just before her nerfs went live. The nerfs went live just around the playoffs in summer 2016. And it was because, well, she pushes every lane in, and then she's basically Twisted Fate with more damage. Now this year, actually the use of Taliyah in summer seasons has been totally different. Sure, the shoving is still true, but it's honestly a bit Rumble-esque where you walk up to a turret, you put down the Weaver's Wall, it might as well be an equalizer, and you get a free objective. So the objective trades keep going well for Longzhu because they're smart with the use of the Weaver's Wall. It's no longer that global, which it can be, but almost every scenario it's used to secure objectives as Longzhu continue to rain down turrets. They have 6 outer turrets and inner turrets down. It's only the base turrets that separate them from breaking the base.
So what you're saying is nerf Taliyah.
Yes, absolutely. But I mean, she's cool, so
yeah.
At least she's a fun champion in the meta. They're still walking up for now. Very deep teleport.
Yeah, Khan coming in from behind. Explosive cast comes through, separates a bit of the SKT squad here. Bang's going to be the first one that gets jumped on. Flag and drag coming through. The pop-ups are there, and Khan will be able to claim the kill, and now it's just going to be all spilling over in favor of Longzhu. Prey firing away, trying to get that chase down in onto Wolf. Will let him escape with his life for the moment, but everybody else on SKT will not be able to say the same. That final kill there, the 4th one picked up for BDD, and that could just be the end of the game right here.
And the Gragas is the champion that is allowing the Kalista to do damage, because you think, okay, there's a formation. How are we ever going to get past the Galio and the Sejuani? The cask scatters everyone, and suddenly there is target acquisition. Suddenly, Wolf and Bang are often going down first in fights. They're going to take down an inhibitor, and we're looking like it's going to be that 8 in a row, Achilleos.
Certainly does seem like it. Bang getting ready to respawn, but can he do anything to try to stop this? No ultimates, no summoner spells available here for the Varus. It's just he and Wolf versus the world. Members of Longzhu are rather low, but now that Nexus is exposed. Wolf with no ultimate, they'll just jump straight in onto Bang, almost take him down, but they say, you know what? Let's not get too greedy. Let's just go straight in for the Nexus, and that is the 8th straight game loss that SKT has suffered.
And the weird thing for SKT fans is that it was better. There was adjustments, there were improvements, the draft was sound to a point, and yet they still lost, and yet Longzhu was still better. The team fight phase where they ignored Kalista for a single fight allowed enough items to come in, and then Cuz, with the on-point Gragas cast, scattered the troops. Suddenly, one of Wolf or Bang was the first person to fall. And that was the big problem there. And also, you have to look back at the draft and say, they keep trying to last pick for bot lane, and it keeps failing. They keep losing lanes with a bot lane support counter pick. That should not be acceptable at the highest level when it's Bang and Wolf. They keep investing in these ranged supports to try to get them through laning phase, and it's not working.
Well, rough stuff here for SK Telecom. Like you said, progression, but just not enough. They do suffer this loss.
Watch the cask here. Oh. Look at the cask wins them the game. There's nothing they can do because Thresh has flash up, the Flay comes in, and suddenly the formation of, hey, we know who our MVP is. It's Bang in the back line. Look how beefy we are. It doesn't matter because they're able to gap close. They're able to get in there. Another reason why Jarvan is so strong in this meta is he has access to the back line. A couple mistakes from Jarvan earlier meant very little once we got to this phase of the game. Cuz was the MVP of that fight for sure. Completely scattered SKT, and that was what allowed them to win the game.
That was the money cask right there from Cuz. So nicely done by the rookie here on this Longzhu squad. They start the series off with a victory. This is what happened last time around. They were able to take game 1 and then lost the next 2.
A month seems like a couple of months seem like so long ago though, Achilles. This is 8 in a row. This is unprecedented. We're 2 games away from SKT being double-digit game losses in a row. Yeah. Unimaginable.
I mean, very few teams have done that. You think of MVP here, longest loss streak, CJ Entis from last year, Jin Air Green Wings.
The fans say, this is the time to lose. You're not in the finals, you're not in the postseason. At some point, you kind of have to lose that thought, Achilles, because the problems are glaring and they continue to mountain up.
Well, we'll see if they can do anything about it here in the short term as we get ready to go to a quick break. SKT backs against the wall yet again. Will it be